What's going on, guys? Kevin Cage here with another XRP update. We're going to kick things off going over the Xrp Rich List. This website is ledger.exposed, or you can just type in Xrp Rich List on Google and pull this up. And as you can see, the number of accounts and their XRP balance. You can see some of the largest accounts and how much XRP they hold, and of course some of the lower accounts, and of course the 20 XRP reserve, which could very well be changed in the future. Of course, I like what David Schwartz is also proposing. Now, if you come up here and click by percentage of accounts, what we can see is what you need or how much XRP you need to be in the top 10% of holders. So if you have roughly 2,233 XRP, you're in the top 10% of all XRP holders. I would love to see some websites to see the percent allocation of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a variety of alts. I would be curious. I'm sure there's, websites that exist like that. So if you guys have any, be sure to tag me on Twitter. Would love to see those. The market is in a very interesting place still. The total global cryptocurrency market cap is at 2.1 trillion. Bitcoin did get that nice little climb and pulling back, and I think there's a lot of narratives at play here. Something interesting is Ethereum, and this is what I'm referring to. Over $1 billion in Ethereum has been burned since the London upgrade. I've discussed the narrative, of course, with Bitcoin, and now it's almost a bigger focus onto Ethereum. And right here, the amount of Ethereum burned since the London upgrade in early August alone, guys, just a month ago, has reached a milestone of $1 billion worth. So this is consistently reducing the supply of Ethereum, which of course has a nice push on the price. On September 16th, we can see the amount of Ethereum had surpassed over 300,000. Notice they keep track right here. This platform, ultrasound.money, keeps track of the burning process and was reporting a total burn of over 302,295 ETH. At current prices, just over $1 billion. Now looking at the market, back in the top 10, we can see XRP ranked number 6 still, and Solana. The network was down for a long period of time, and Solana has absolutely been one of the top performers in the entire crypto space. But we cannot just look the other way when a network is down for that long. We've been covering Solana quite a bit, and I'm sure you guys know the post that I'm referencing that I did post on my Instagram. And of course, Terra Luna. I love Luna and Sol, Moon and Sun, and of course they absolutely skyrocketed. I never actually held a substantial amount of Solana, unfortunately, but Luna, of course, we were buying this bad boy at like 20 cents, 25 cents. But now there's going to be a lot of competition, and just like we had kind of the DeFi bull run last year, literally around September, October of last year, 2020. I cannot believe a year has already passed. I think we're about to have L1 season coming up shortly, meaning layer 1 protocols. And of course, competing with Solana. I know Solana's launching a bunch of exciting things with NFTs. There's a lot of unrecognized technology and talent that exists. And I'm not saying it has to take Solana's spot. What I'm saying is, in a market where there are still hundreds of thousands of projects, and even less of them are legitimate, there are plenty of legitimate assets, and I'd say the top 100, even top 300 that are still ignored. So keep an eye on these assets that have strong funding from some key players that are also in the top 10, top 20 assets, and potentially would be looking to chip away at some of the market cap of Solana. But competition is good and necessary, and this is what's going to drive innovation in this space. So I'm going to be watching these narratives flip, and I'm absolutely shocked that XRP, XLM, and a variety of assets are still quite low in terms of their retracement levels. The Fear and Greed Index for the cryptocurrency market is right now at neutral at 53. Last month we were definitely in greedy, and then last week we were actually even in more fear. So now we're about neutral, and we're waiting for the market to make a decision. My bias on the weekly timeframes, as I've shown the past several weeks, still remains the same, but I'm just waiting for that next move. And I still expect that we get those higher prices in due time, and I really hope it is sooner than later. I do not want to drop, I do not want to delay the inevitable, and I expect a big market move shortly. Now here's a post I did back in July 13th. I'm going to reference this before getting into some XRP news. Now this is just proof that we've been tracking HBAR and Algo together for quite some time. It was not a coincidence that they did in fact pump relatively close together. I was tracking their fractals, and notice, remember how long QNT Quant had to consolidate and cool off before getting that next leg up? People almost sold when it was at $40, at $70. And the people that were looking at the market on the 4-hour chart, on the daily, they got too sucked into the micro. They were missing the big picture. And of course, QNT, it went 300, 400 plus, absolutely skyrocketed. And the same concept applies for HBAR and Algo. People that saw HBAR at 17 cents to 20 cents, even though it was at a penny earlier on. And then Algo, we were buying this bad boy at 20 cents. And, you get sucked in, you see algo at 80 cents and 90 cents, and you lose hope right before they do a 100% pump. A lot of them are forming bull flags, some are forming pennants, falling wedges, you name it, and they're in great positions. So, of course, I believe that algo was ahead of HBAR, and then HBAR did actually move up. And I know we documented this. Be sure to check out, the older HBAR algo videos I've done. But just wanted to share that. And yes, my bias remains the same for XRP and a variety of assets below the weekly retracement. Speaking of Ethereum, Coinbase has listed for Ethereum 2.0 to actually start staking and earning about 5% APR on your actual ETH balance right in Coinbase. We can see XRP amazed me. Thank you for the tag. BTC Markets. This is an ODL partner of Ripple, and now they have industry first news in Australia. Notice we are excited to announce that we have partnered with Neobank Volt in order to bring greater speed and stability to our customers. The actual press release right here. And so Volt will be partnering with the crypto exchange BTC Markets. And of course, Tony from Thinking Crypto has a wonderful interview with Caroline Bowler, and she's the CEO of BTC Markets. And yes, I've heard her mention XRP on a variety of occasions. This is pretty interesting by Mr. Paydek. So we have Pay My Tuition, DLocal, which is a massive player. I pronounce it DLocal, and Team Up for international tuition payments. This is a huge Ripple partner. We've explained all of their integrations right into Alipay, Union Pay, which in Union Pay is arguably way bigger than MasterCard and Visa. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. So check out DLocal, a Ripple partner, early on as well. And yes, they are expanding and they're going public. And we saw the, hundreds of millions of dollars that they are raising. So I'm not just focused on Ripple the company, I'm looking at what their partners are doing because we're well aware that they are in fact helping them scale massively. And something to remember with them is Ripple meeting with the Central Bank of Brazil last year, and yes, they're expanding their payment rails throughout Brazil, one of the BRICS nations that is getting away from the US dollar reserve status. And remember that Uber has solely chosen eBanks, and eBanks is partnering with all of the Ripple clients for Pix, and is the instant payment system of the entire country of Brazil. And as we know, the Central Bank of Brazil, and I believe it was the president or governor, and it's posted everywhere, this is viral, they were having conference calls and closed door meetings last year in the summer with the company Ripple. Brad Garlinghouse mentioned specifically. So I don't think it's coincidence. And yes, this is completely natural. All these countries are really updating their instant payment system networks. And they're using fintechs, especially companies that are valued at 10 billion plus, like Ripple, because they're a lot more versatile. They can adapt quickly. They don't have that old technology. They are allowing connectivity between the old legacy systems and the new. So this is completely natural, and a lot of countries are doing this. Also, something relatable for everybody in the cryptocurrency market, that conflicting feeling when you want your asset to pump so that you can make some money and profit, but at the same time, simultaneously, you want it to keep kind of ranging, going back and forth, or potentially dump just one more time so you can buy even more right before it shoots. It's a blessing and a curse, and we all relate to that, and that's why I always try to do my best to have a cash position on hand to buy any potential dips, because we see multiple 50%, sometimes 90% crashes in the cryptocurrency market a few times per year, and it feels so damn good when you have cash ready to buy with those emergency dips. And I know that all of us have related, especially even in March 2020, the crash when XRP was at 11 cents, QNT was at $3, ADA Cardano, the asset that went to $3, that was at 3 pennies. And the worst feeling is not having enough cash when you're able to buy that. Of course, I was buying ETH at like 98 bucks, even on like Binance US with a little money I had, but it was just a crazy feeling, and you always wish you had more. So there's nothing wrong with taking profits. For me personally, I don't care what people say. I always have cash on the side. It's my insurance policy, and it helps me sleep at night. Of course, you coulda, woulda, shoulda, and had more money. This is just something that helps me cope with the crazy, crazy cryptocurrency market. And of course, this is not financial advice, just sharing a little bit about myself. Manifest Duality, thank you for sharing this with me. This is Blacklist, a TV show. And this gentleman, I can't play it because copyright, but they literally talk about using the Ripple DEX, or the decentralized exchange, rather than using Bitcoin so that you can have entire privacy. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they mentioned that. And he goes, how? Explain. And he said, I use the Ripple exchange. And I think he's referring to the DEX, the DEX, a decentralized exchange that is a feature on the XRP ledger. And so in this TV show, he says to have the fiat currency converted to eCash in Bitcoin, and then he ran the transaction through a cryptographic extension. I thought that was pretty comical. So thank you so much for sharing that. Super interesting. Another interesting TV show that has a lot of similarities to today and almost kind of foresaw 2020, not to sound like a weirdo, is called Mr. Robot. And yes, I've watched all the seasons. Super interesting. I always take everything with a giant grain of salt, but I thought it was pretty interesting, and there were a lot of similarities and parallels to what we see today. Next up, we have The Revolution. So his iTrustCapital account has done in 15 months what the stock market would have taken a lifetime to produce. That is absolutely awesome. I have a Roth IRA with this platform, links in the video description for a discount, and of course this is all tax-free. So I thought this was pretty interesting that iTrust did attract over 57,000 individual retirement accounts. And of course, whether it's 5 mil or 10 mil, I can always take that money, go back to Vanguard, go back into a conservative index fund and get 10, 20% per year. But I love taking advantage of the tools available in the cryptocurrency market for this next decade. So yes, I'm obviously a perma-bull in the cryptocurrency market on the macro. Yes, we have multiple crashes that happen, 88%, 80%. We've even recently had a 60%, 50% correction. But when you zoom out, like I say, imagine having a retirement account, a 401k in crypto during a bullish cycle. And of course, when you zoom out, you're talking 1,000,000%, which is absurd, which is pretty crazy. So let's actually just look at maybe the last 5 years or so. That's almost 6,000%. And this is Bitcoin. And that's why I'm excited to use this, because it's all tax-free trading, meaning 0% in taxes. And of course, they have a variety of assets. And literally every single asset on this list is up massively since the beginning of the year. I'm not looking at the 4-hour chart. I'm looking at the macro, because this is a retirement account. So I love diversifying in asset classes. Yes, the stock market is still here to stay. It's all good and great. But why would I be focused on deploying my capital in a market that is already at an all-time high price? Whereas these assets, even algo, has yet to even break through its all-time high price. Food for thought. This is one of the assets that I have my eye on to potentially take some of the market share in the years ahead against Solana, which is Casper. CSPR, I know King Solomon's a big fan of this project, along with Jamie Xrp, who notified me about this guy a long time ago, and it has been on my radar. This project has been in the works since 2014. Very few people talk about it, and was built by Ethereum developers. And I'm watching the narrative at play here with Solana. So food for thought, but there's a lot of interesting connections, and check out the investors behind Casper. And I know some people complain, oh man, we're going back and forth for pennies. In the future, just like XRP going from $1.10 to 80 cents to $1.30, people complaining about 10-cent moves because it's not mooning yet. Imagine people in a few years when they're complaining that XRP is not mooning again because it's fluctuating by $10 every single day. When in doubt, zoom out. Next up, we have more Bitcoin maximalists starting to tweet this out. And I thought it was really interesting, and I love it. Like, welcome these guys with open arms. We have the Moon. This gentleman has over 500,000 followers. Seems like a big Bitcoin advocate, of course. And yeah, Bitcoin, what it stands for, that's awesome. But I could not care less for return on my investment for Bitcoin, guys. An asset at virtually almost $1 trillion market cap, that's awesome. Store value, even if it doubles, that's amazing. But why would I focus on that when I have alts that have already done a 10x this market? And that's being conservative. So at least David knows what's up. They are right about XRP. We have Dagnum right here. Kevin Cage will have the biggest I told you so video ever. Absolutely. And I still have that FUD folder of all pictures of all the big names talking badly about XRP. I have a folder on my computer, years old. Hundreds of pictures, even people on Twitter saying XRP is terrible, and it's comical. So I'm going to drop that post-moon, and I cannot wait. So if you guys ever have any amazing XRP pictures, be sure to tag me on Twitter. I'll retweet it. It'll be funny. And I just wanted to say we are welcome. I saw Altcoin Daily as well, another huge channel that has my respect, and I just want them to know that XRP is a legitimate digital asset. There's more to it than meets the eye, and a lot of people just read the first Google article and believe the narrative that the media spread out. So always do your own research, decide for yourselves, and obviously double check everything I share in this video. We even have Lark Davis, another gentleman, a huge Bitcoin advocate. This is back in December 2020. You are crazy if you buy XRP right now. Multiple exchange delisting it, which means obviously there's less volume, so the price can move easier for me. I see buy signals when people are afraid. Coinbase rumored to be one of the next to announce, and yes, you're right, liquidity can dry up very fast, which means less volume is required to pump up the price. So yes, I went balls deep at 20 cents, and we're still up 5x today. So hey, you guys do you, but I thought this was pretty interesting. We have one of the biggest YouTube channels in all of existence in the cryptocurrency space, BitBoy, and yep, you bet I am subscribed. It's so awesome that he's finally talking about XRP. Some of the information he says is still incorrect, but I do appreciate him at least being more open-minded. I'm not sure if he's just doing it for the fan base, or he's finally realizing how obvious it is. But over 1 million subscribers, and there's gonna be more Bitcoin maximalists and even more Ethereum maximalists years ago that I've watched trash the XRP community, and they're all gonna come on our side. And yes, we've been making videos for the past several years, just like all the other XRP YouTubers. So props, because we don't go whichever way the wind blows. We have your back, and this is why we do what we do. But you're going to watch a lot of people flip sides. And just remember who was with you in the beginning. Not the people that come when XRP's at 10 bucks plus. I'm talking about when I was there doing videos and XRP's at 15 cents. Those are the people that are there helping you. Next up, we have Paydek. This is a Ripple Insights article that just came out today, September 16th. Paydek expands footprint to Latin America and Africa through RippleNet. Constant and constant expansion. Price has not yet moved. Rather than being the typical fool that says, oh, it's not going to move, I'm leaving, I keep an eye on this. I'm going to continue to dollar cost average. This is just part of my strategy. When assets are below the retracements, I just keep entering, dollar cost averaging. Then when it finally rockets, I'm in a better position than ever before. And then I get called lucky because I was willing to wait longer than everybody else. I'm not smarter, I'm just more patient. So on-demand work has created a new financial opportunity benefiting both individuals and local economies. This industry is expected to become a $455 billion market. Freelancers, independent contractors, etc. Remember what we just showed with DLocale for paying tuition. These are all the things that are occurring. This is a UK-based firm. United Kingdom is one of the countries that has determined XRP to not be a security by the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority. So Paydek turned to Ripple to help solve these problems faced by their customers. And now they're expanding throughout Latin America. Cough, cough, DLocale. Cough, cough, Brazil. Cough, cough, Bitso, which is backed by a lot of behemoths and is an ODL corridor that uses XRP between the US dollar and Mexican peso today. Imagine what happens when they actually start scaling that. They're really setting themselves up. We can see they support 9 local currencies. The South African ZAR, cough, cough, one of the BRICS nations, South Africa, BRICS. And I really have to stop coughing. And then local payment in Latin America. So pretty interesting. And yes, they are SOC 2 certified, getting everything ticked off, and I believe something big is coming. Now, this is amazing. So this is Crypto Eddie sharing this. This is the former comptroller of the US currency, Brian Brooks. You've seen the interviews, you've seen it on podcasts, speaking of Ripple and even Chris Larson very highly talking about XRP and saying it's legitimate. Rosie Rios is now an advisor for the company Ripple. She was the treasurer of the United States. Her name is personally signed on more currency than anyone in the world. Yet you have cartoon characters calling Ripple the company and XRP the digital asset a scam, which is just comical. So Brian Brooks, one of the OGs in the space, and he was actually CEO of Binance US for a short period of time, and before he took a position for the US government, he was actually the chief legal officer of Coinbase. So very, very interesting. Be sure to check this guy out right here, chief legal officer. So this is a minute-long clip. Listen up.
And here's a sort of a mission statement about crypto. There are no people. There's only code, right? That's why the mission of crypto is to say, in code we trust. We're taking all of the discretion and the negligence and the fraud and the self-dealing out of the equation. And what's left is a need to make sure that there's basic disclosure, to make sure that losses are compensated, and things like that, hacking and cyber standards, that sort of thing. I don't think we have a consensus on this in this country right now. And if you just look at yesterday's hearing in the Senate Banking Committee and the way that, Gary Gensler was treated by the Democrats versus the Republicans, you could see that there's a fundamental chasm between the Democrats, who believe every activity that involves value should be subject to securities regulation, and the Republicans, who are asking, well, why don't we understand what this is and figure out if there is a regulatory regime that makes any sense? I'll just end with Balaji Srinivasan's comment that I always quote.
All right, get ready. This is an absolute bar.
Which is, when the YouTube people founded YouTube, did anybody think they should get a broadcast television license? I don't think so.
Boom. Because YouTube was true innovation. It was going from 0 to 1, just like Peter Thiel's book that is literally on the bookshelf right behind me. Oh, and speaking of Peter Thiel, the founder of PayPal alongside with Elon Musk, their fund back in the day also invested into the company Ripple. I'm going to go specifically through XRP information in the next video. Be sure to like and sub and listen to this. The largest mainstream media channels today that we're seeing, Fox, CNN, etc., are now finally talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum. And yes, they were back in the past, but in the past they used to say it was going to zero. It was kind of silly internet money. And now it's so established, it's so big, they cannot even turn their backs. Just like Shark Tank has said, once an asset reaches a $1 billion market capitalization, it's here to stay. Well, Bitcoin actually is essentially at a $1 trillion asset or market cap valuation. So what do you guys think happens? Now, yes, they're finally accepting these two assets as part of the financial landscape, crypto assets, now instead of cryptocurrency. Notice that the leaders of the world, like the World Economic Forum, changed the terminology a few years ago. Even Digital Asset Investor was well aware of it. Remember, he said, I noticed instead of cryptocurrencies, they started saying digital assets in all of these documents. He was aware of that, and props, because that is an amazing channel name. And this is all it is. This is common sense, guys. So they're changing it to crypto assets, digital assets. Now we have securities becoming tokenized. You have Tezos. You have all these platforms being created in tokenized real estate. They become so big they cannot be ignored. And now my bet, which I think is extremely obvious for all of us that are watching this channel, is that it's simply a matter of time before all of these alts, these alternative currencies, which I think is an insult, because why are some of these alts called alternatives to Bitcoin when, first off, Bitcoin is just a store of value, and Ethereum, smart contracts, but when you have technologies that can do it better and are yet to be mass adopted, don't have all the integrations yet, may not have all the proof of concepts done yet, there's still better technology, I think there's going to be a flippening in the future. So the question is, there's going to be assets that help Ethereum. Yes, I'm not a fool. Of course, Ethereum, I believe, is here to stay. There's so much funding and behemoths behind the scenes really controlling what's going on. But I'm also aware that there's technologies out there, L1, Layer 1, and even L0 protocols that can do Ethereum's job better. The question is, who's going to adopt what? Because network effects matters. Sometimes there are better technologies, but they never succeed. So that's just one little consideration I have. We have to check network effects. And that's why I love Xrp, because it's literally been trialed by the biggest banks in the world. Go back to 2015, 2016. It is everywhere. And yet people don't talk about that. Be sure to keep an eye on all the Bitcoin maximalists and Ethereum maxis that are going to keep flipping, and they will continue to start discussing Xrp. And just remember who was there in the beginning. And I welcome them with open arms. We are all one community. And anybody that is investing in digital assets, learning about digital assets, the technology, you have a friend in me. So be sure to tune into the next video. And until next time.